Last night, the Toronto Raptors drafted who I would dub the next Fred VanVleet. So after drafting Malachi Flynn, what does this mean for the future of the Toronto Raptors? Let's get into it. Welcome to Amateur Hour Sports. The Toronto Raptors had a big day yesterday, and as did this channel. We hit 900 subscribers, already doing very well today as well. Thank you so much to everybody who did hit that subscribe button. We are well on our way to 1,000 subscribers on the channel. I thought it would be inconceivable to hit that mark inside 2020 just a few months ago, but alas, it looks like we may hit it in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much to everybody again. If it is your first time here with me today, you like what you see, you want more NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well and join the movement of the channel. But on to today's topic. Malachi Flynn, Jalen Harris are now Toronto Raptors players. And with that first round pick, I was very pleased that we got Malachi Flynn. I said in my pre-draft wish list yesterday, in yesterday's upload, if you want to go check that out, Malachi Flynn was my second choice for the Toronto Raptors to take at that 29th overall pick slot. In fact, all of my top 3 selections that I wanted there were still available when the Raptors' name got called in the 29th pick. Tyler Bay was my number 1 option because of his versatility, his size, his defense, but Malachi Flynn was second on my radar. Very happy to get, a combo guard who was Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year, the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, puts up some great points, can shoot off the dribble, can shoot the 3, great playmaker, great ball handler. There's so much to like about Malachi Flynn. Comes in only 6'1", 6'2", so a little bit undersized. He reminds me a lot about how Fred VanVleet plays. Seems like he's exactly like Fred VanVleet, near the same height. Malachi Flynn, I believe, is a little bit taller, but good ball handlers, great defenders, even for their size. Like I said, all these great assets about his game that remind me of Fred VanVleet. So I'm very happy we got Malachi Flynn. I think he's a guy who is NBA ready, going to come in off the bench, be a good piece off the bench for the Toronto Raptors. Very happy that we can get somebody who can put and instill directly into our roster. I was talking about earlier, I think it was last week, about getting a free agent guard to come in if we don't bring back Terrence Davis. So if we want to bring in a guy like this instead of having to go to free agency, I'm all for that as well. I'm very happy with this. Then we get Jalen Harris at the 59th pick. He's a player who went a little bit under the radar for a lot of scouts. Some people didn't even have them on their draft boards. If you look him up, it's a bit hard to find information on him. But Jalen Harris, a 6'5" shooting guard coming out of Nevada, also in the Mountain West Conference along with Malachi Flynn. Jalen Harris is a guy who is a scorer on offense. Doesn't have that defensive approach like Malachi Flynn, but Jalen Harris with some good size for a guard at 6'5", can shoot off the dribble, can create his own shots. This is something big for the Toronto Raptors, something we lacked in the playoffs last year, somebody who could create their own shooting opportunities, and people were saying we need somebody like that. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Harris is going to come in this year and be that for the Toronto Raptors. However, he's got that potential within him to do that. Both guys that the Toronto Raptors drafted were in the 4th year of their university careers. Both of them took a year off last season, the season before last that is, to transfer into their current schools in the Mountain West Conference just to improve their draft stock, and it seems like it worked for both of them. Malachi Flynn gets in the first round. Jalen Harris gets himself drafted at all. But again, Jalen Harris, very smooth operator on the court. When he shoots, can get himself to the rim, and gets a ton of rebounds. Got almost 7 rebounds per game in his season with Nevada. That is fantastic for a guard, and a Raptors team who does need to work on rebounding can definitely use somebody like that. As far as Jalen Harris goes, I'd rather talk more about Malachi Flynn, but as far as Jalen Harris goes, I think that for this first season, maybe gets some sporadic minutes, not really a full rotation player, but get some sporadic minutes to be a bit of a scorer. I'm hoping he can be just, that 9th guy, 10th guy in the rotation to be a scorer off the bench, though I don't think that will be the case because we do have a lot of guards now. But I'm thinking in the future, Jalen Harris, if he develops properly, he's working with the Toronto Raptors, can be a good role player for us. As far as Malachi Flynn goes, I think he's immediately getting thrown into this rotation. I think 4th choice guard for the Toronto Raptors, he's going to come in, get 8th, 9th man minutes for the Raptors. I'm very excited to see Malachi Flynn suit up for the Toronto Raptors. I recommend watching some tape on this guy. You'll be wowed by the stuff that he can bring to the Raptors. But we're going back to that player comparable I made at the start of the video. The new Fred VanVleet and Malachi Flynn. And if there is a new Fred VanVleet, does that mean you still need the old Fred VanVleet? Not that Fred VanVleet is old at all, but the Raptors seemingly have drafted a possible replacement to Fred VanVleet. Does this draft pick hint at all at the fact that maybe the Raptors aren't going to bring back Fred VanVleet in this offseason? There's a potential for that to be true because, like I said, these two guys are very similar. Do the Raptors want to have two slightly undersized guards in the rotation in Fred VanVleet and Malachi Flynn? Can you really play these two guys at the same time on the court? Maybe not. Does Masai Ujiri know something that we don't? Obviously, yes. But when it comes to Fred VanVleet, is there a bit of a scare within the Raptors organization that he will not re-sign with the team? Is there a bit of a scare that we won't be able to bring him back? I think that the possibility is there. And I think the possibility of Fred VanVleet leaving is a lot more apparent now than it was at this time yesterday. I was very confident yesterday that, Fred VanVleet's still going to come back to the Raptors. They're going to pay him. But now I'm thinking maybe not so much, because why would we draft a guy so similar to him? Is it because we had so much success with Fred VanVleet that first time? So why would we not have success with a guy like Malachi Flynn, who brings all these great things to a team, all these assets, is so skilled on offense and on defense? Is just because he has all those assets and that we can work with it and we know how to hide those undersized guards on defense? Perhaps that is the case, but just ponder the fact that maybe it's not going to happen and we're not going to be able to bring back Fred VanVleet. Just consider the possibility. Overall, I still think Fred VanVleet will resign, but you have to look at the possibility of it, especially drafting a guy like this who can just be his replacement. Just touching back on the Jalen Harris pick, I did want Devin Dotson in this position because, great defender, great guard, can score, played for Kansas last year, was great for them, and I thought he could fall to the Raptors. Maybe he wouldn't, and maybe he would go undrafted and we can still get him. Well, Devin Dotson did go undrafted, so the Raptors, if they wanted him, could have taken him. They decided to go with Jalen Harris, and not going to complain with that. He looks like a great player. But when Devin Dotson went undrafted, I was hoping the Raptors would snag him up. It ended up being the Chicago Bulls who gave him that two-way contract. Kind of unfortunate because I liked him. But I'm very happy. I'm over the moon that one of my top 3 picks for the Raptors, in one of Tyler Bay, Malachi Flynn, or Trey Jones, got drafted by the Toronto Raptors. All 3 were available when we were picking. I think they may have gone for Jaden McDaniels if he was still available. He got selected 1 pick prior, I think, by the Lakers for either, oh my God, I can't even keep up with the trades. It was by the Lakers for either OKC or the I think it was. But regardless, not a Toronto Raptor. Malachi Flynn is a Toronto Raptor. Now, Malachi Flynn isn't a franchise-changing player right now. I think he's got loads of potential. I think he's going to be in the rotation this year. We have a great future ahead with a guy like him. He's not going to be the MVP level, but I think Malachi Flynn can be a great player for the Raptors, a great contributor, has starting point guard potential in the very near future. In the next few years, I think he's got that starting point guard potential. Very happy with this pick. The Raptors, there's a lot of teams making moves in the NBA right now. The Bucks are making a ton of moves. The Nets are making a ton of moves. The Raptors need to start making some moves to keep up with these teams. And now that we've got the draft settled, we know who we've drafted. We got to figure out our free agents, got to figure out our trades. But I believe in Masai. I know he's going to make the right decisions going forward for the betterment of the franchise. It's just we're running out of time. We're about a month away from the start of the next NBA season. It's time to make these decisions. And now that we've got all our players settled, it's time to make some moves. What do you guys make of this 29th overall pick, Malachi Flynn? What do you make of this 59th overall pick, Jalen Harris? I'm happy with both. Did you guys want anybody else in these picks? Do you think the Raptors made a mistake drafting either of them? Let me know who you wanted to take in those spots in the comments down below. I have a lot of guys who are in my comments on Instagram and on YouTube who wanted Malachi Flynn to come to the Raptors, and there's a lot of happy people today. But that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm very happy about that. I'm very appreciative of anybody who did hit that subscribe button. Make sure you join the movement if you want at least 4 Toronto Raptors videos a week. We usually do not upload on Thursdays, but I wanted to talk about the draft, so here I am on an unusual day, the Thursday. Follow me on Twitter as well. I was pretty active during the NBA draft yesterday. Make sure you follow me on that. Link is in the description, and it is in the ending screen if you want to wait for that, which is coming very shortly. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.